So now I will give my talk in my second language. You see, I'm someone who pretty much pata-bourrayed myself out of my mother's womb into this world. So for me, quite honestly, dance is my first, my truest, and my most native tongue. So I did consider just coming out here for you all and dancing for about 15 minutes, taking a big old gracious bow and going, any questions? I mean, I believe that Elle Woods' personal essay in Legally Blonde the musical was quite legit. Who wouldn't love to have a big musical production number with all the fancy lights and costume changes and dance moves be the way to just get your point across? But you know, barring a Broadway budget, here we are. And so again, I'll be talking with you in two languages as we revisit and uncover how and why it is important for us to rewrite the narrative around dance and dancing bodies. Civil rights advocate and founder of the Children's Defense Fund, Marian Wright Edelman, famously said, "If you want to change the world, if you don't like the way the world you change it. You have an obligation to change it. You just do it one step at a time." Now, that's a really compelling quote, and I imagine that many of us, upon hearing it or reading it, can feel a sense of inspiration to think about the various social movements and protests that we can join and what we can do in our day-to-day lives. I feel that way too, but let me be clear. I continuously come to the last line. You just do it one step at a time. Now that you all know what my first language really is, it should come as no surprise that when I encountered this line, I immediately envisioned radical change sweeping the globe, one flash mob, one dance-off, one dance cipher at a time. I figured if we really wanted to fulfill our obligations to be agents for justice and equity and inclusion, then we could do so a one dance step at a time. One top rock, one kickball change, one back step, one grapevine, one orange justice, one whoa at a time. I mean, think about it. To be the change we want to see in the world, all we really have to do is dance it out. I mean, who doesn't love a good dance party? Am I right or am I right? Well, as it turns out, some people don't enjoy a good dance party. In fact, merely mentioning the word dance as if someone has uttered a naughty 5-letter word, as anxiety and paralysis takes over those bodies. Why is this? When postmodern dance pioneer Anna Halpern and musicologist Kurt Sachs have said that dance is the mother of all arts, I mean, I drink from that cup. I am a dancer and a choreographer and a performer. Yet, it is in the space of being an educator in K-12 settings, both inside and outside of schools, and even in Ivy League classrooms, where I have noticed this denial of said motherhood. What is behind that? And more importantly, what does it mean in spaces of education where we might be unintentionally normalizing a disembodiment, a disconnect from being in our bodies and realizing that they are with us every day, taking in information. So how can we rewrite this whole narrative on dance and the dancing body? I propose, or I offer, I should say, 3 on-ramps to reconsider how we can embrace the dancing body. First, let's revisit dance as a matter of anatomy. Now sure, dance is cool, and again, we know that we in this room may like a good dance party. But at its core, dance is about anatomical bodies moving as they have the facility to do so. Celeste Snober, who is a dancer, educator, and scholar, has said that we are creatures of turns and twists, of expanse and contraction, of gestures and postures, although it feels as if Western society has forgotten that we have hips. Don't think it's true? Take a little trip down memory lane with me to this oldie but goodie from childhood. You can sing along if you remember. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Don't mention any of the rest of this part of your body, I suppose. Just stick to the head, the shoulders, the knees, and the toes. Now, it's a fun song to sing, and it's okay to still sing it. It's developmentally appropriate. However, let's reconsider what's happening by this benign erasure of acknowledging all the rest of the body parts. In that silence comes in narratives that are problematic and oppressive. Hips. I guarantee we all do have them. But sometimes, in some way, it's been distorted to go, oh, hips only belong to girl bodies. And if those bodies are moving that body part that way, maybe that's not right. And forms of dance that really embrace moving that body part that way really aren't dance. They aren't high art. We are dealing with the residue of colonized ways of thinking about bodies, body parts, and dance styles that were considered proper and appropriate. I encounter this residue when I will sometimes show up to teach a workshop and teachers think that they have done me a favor by volunteering all of the boys out of the class. I encounter the residue when simply doing a warm-up to let the hips do what they were designed to do, which is tilt, circle, and even shake. That students are snickering in embarrassment and astonishment that they have this body part and that it moves that way. So what can we do here? What's the opportunity? Well, we can reclaim that narrative by teaching and embracing dance and body parts without necessarily gendering them. Without then saying some forms are better than others, some bodies are meant to move and they're not. You can do an experiment if you're feeling ready, where you can take your hands and run them down the sides of your bodies and see if you find your hips. I haven't met a person yet who hasn't found them. I even venture to imagine that you probably all have that body part that exists between the top of your hamstring and your lower back. That one. Also, anatomically something we all have, and it too can tilt and circle and shake. So let's just revisit that we all have bodies, that they are all designed to move, and that we don't have to make it about anything else than that. A second way that we can revisit and reclaim this narrative around the dancing body is to embrace the body as a vehicle of knowing and communicating. Martha Graham says, movement never lies. It is a barometer telling the state of the soul's weather to all who can read it. So if we think about it this way, the moving body is a means of navigating, of communicating, of understanding the world. Without and beyond words, the body is a site of learning and processing. Yet, how many classrooms are set up and designed this way? We have heads and shoulders facing forward, knees and toes tucked under desk. This is what it looks like to learn. This is what it looks like to be smart. This is what it looks like to be a good student. This is what it looks like to be good. We are normalizing stillness, normalizing silencing of bodies and all the access that they could have to powerful knowledge out of teaching and learning? What about our students who rely on their bodies as their personal calculators, their very own canvases, their equivalents of a 10-page paper? Are we making room for that in teaching and learning? We do have an opportunity here, even in the design of our classrooms. And the research is steadily emerging around how and why it's important to allow students to take agency in how they even sit or stand in class. Designing a room so that students have to kinesthetically meet each other and cooperate and build with each other, who get to see that, hey, I see that you know what you're doing because I can see what you're doing. So we have an opportunity to escape heads, shoulders faced forward, knees tucked only under desk as means of learning, to going, hey body, you're welcome here too. And the last invitation that I'll make for us to reconsider dance is thinking about how it is a means for identity development and affirmation. Performer and dance historian Brenda Dixon Gottschalk says that dance is a message in a cultural envelope. What does this mean? This means that dance and moving bodies can serve as sort of a membership card, a kinesthetic anthem, if you will, calling to it all those who seem to know in DNA passed on through storytelling, through dances and kitchens, about who they are. Happens to me. I've shown up at an event that often involves a yard, a barbecue pit, somebody on the turntables, and I'm with people whose names I don't know. I don't know what they do for a living and am not concerned about it, but when that song comes on, it's as if we remembered each other. Oh, okay, I see you. Hey, all right, here we go. Suddenly, we all know what to do. We are all able to be and to connect because movement and a shared expression of our identities have a space to say, here we are, we matter. That cultural envelope is one that is full of stories that have been robbed from people, robbed from bodies that did not get to exist, bodies whose presence have been policed out. So if we can consider that sometimes that student that just seems to always dance before and after and in between everything is trying to affirm for themselves that I am here and I'm looking for where my people are. So you can see, this matters. This is not just the pitch for more dance education and dance classes, though I am here for that. But this is for us to remember that all of us, whether students or educators, whatever sandbox of influence or learning that we're in, we have an opportunity to reclaim the narrative around this instrument that happens to be with us at all times anyway. This new narrative isn't just about an invitation to a dance party, though I would hope you all would throw those and RSVP to others. But this new narrative is for us to remember to literally and figuratively stand up and stretch outside of comfort zones that have taken us uncomfortably out of our bodies. And like literally right now, let's stand up and stretch. I'm a dancer, I mean it, on your feet. I'm gonna count like a dancer, which means I'm only gonna count to 8. You've got 8 counts to live your best life in your body. Here we go. 1, 2, whatever you need. 3, okay. 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's a narrative to remember yourself, remember your body to your mind. It's an invitation for all of my wiggling, dancing, moving students whose bodies have been othered or policed to say, you matter, I see you and how you learn. It's a new narrative that will allow us to appreciate all forms of dance without hierarchy, to dismantle tables that said this is the only canon that counts, and to go all dance belongs at the table. so that we can get rid of studying of world dance if we realize we all are the world and all forms should be at that table equally. It's a narrative for us to remember that yes, dance is about the joy and the release, but it's also about deep connection, communication, interpretation, and liberation. It's an invitation for us to think perhaps we really can cause change one stanky leg step at a time, or the step of your choice. I mean, as Emma Goldman says, if I can't dance, I don't want to be a part of your revolution. So, I invite you all to recount how many languages you speak and to add in the one that you've probably forgotten has been with you since day one. It's your body and its movement. Please remember that language so that we can possibly have a flash mob that will change all of the world's ills. I'm crazy enough to believe it's possible. But it means we've got to remember the language of the moving body. So let's get to talking. Thank you.